Today on Learn Me Something
Rube Waddell
versus
Message to the future.
So you had to spend some time at the DMV, huh?
Yeah, and let me just say, it was weirder than it had to be. I made the whole situation weirder than it needed to be.
Tell me, talk to me. But first, context, you lost the episode last time, and that's
Yep.
why you had to do this.
Yeah, so the punishment of last episode was I had to go to the DMV, get a ticket, sit at the DMV until my ticket's number was called, and then just get up and walk out. Unfortunately, there was a twist in the plan that led to a little bit of awkwardness and just a long period of tension in this punishment. So here's the gist. So we ended up delaying our record time, but at the time I thought we were recording the following day, the day after I was going to do this, go into the DMV. So I was like, all right, I have to go in today, but I was busy in the morning, so I went in around it was like 1:30 or 2, I think. I was like, they close at 4:30, so I was like, I'll go in there, get a ticket, plenty of time to just sit there and let it be weird.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, so I look it up, I drive over there, I bring my backpack, have a book, have my computer, all that stuff in there. I go in, and there's the way it's set up, there's this little hallway, and on the side of the hallway is a booth to the first person you can talk to. And then at the end of the hallway, it just opens up to the main room where people sit and wait.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of windows people can walk up to do their various things with their tickets.
Yep.
So your standard DMV arrangement. So I walk into the hallway, walk past the window the first window, and was like, maybe I didn't see a ticket thing. So I walked back to the window. And I was like, hey, I need a ticket. Or no, I was like, where can I pick up a ticket? And she said, oh, this is so weird that I did this. She said, it just happened. She said, oh, honey, we ran out of tickets a while ago. You're going to have to come back tomorrow. And so I said, we were recording tomorrow, so there was no time. Like, this was the only day I could do this punishment. So I said, okay, thank you. And then just walked down the hallway and into the main room anyway. And I just tried not to look back, and I know she was like, why did you just... Hey, can I get a ticket? Nope. Okay. Walks into the main.
I'm just going to make myself comfy here. DMV's the new Starbucks.
Yeah. So I did my best. There's a long line of seats and stuff and a lot of people there. I did my very best to sit in a spot that was like there was like a little post that was kind of protruding. No, that was not the word I was looking for. It was blocking the view from her to me. So I was hoping it would be like inconspicuous.
She's like, he's gone.
Yeah. So then my plan is like, all right, so this punishment is already off to a bad start. I'm just going to sit in here until the person that came in right after me, until they're like through the process and
there
stuff.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the big plan. So I sat down, I got my computer out. Actually, I'm going to I'm going to offer a little spoiler into my topic cuz I just feel like this is necessary. I got my computer out and was researching long-term nuclear waste management at the DMV. And I just got to say, it feels good to know with some degree of certainty that I'm the only person in all of history that has done that. Sat in the DMV without a ticket or any plan to do anything there and studied nuclear waste.
That's a new world record. You might be the first person to just sit at the DMV. You know, there's got to be a small group of people that have done that before.
That's true. That's very true. So the reason there was tension was this whole time I was like, I'm sure she's told like the people at the windows that could clearly see me.
Oh,
there's a line of like, I don't know. You can see there's like probably 10 or 15 people in there that can see me very clearly. So I'm like, I'm sure that this is just so weird. So I had my headphones on, had my computer out, literally just treating this like it was a coffee shop. And I sat there for about an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
Until the lady at the first window, I see her like stand up and peer around the little barrier that I had purposefully put in place. And I'm like trying to subtly peek above my computer.
Yeah.
And trying to see what's going on. And then another lady kind of stands up, and then they're kind of talking, and I can just feel it in my bones that there's just like something.
You're causing some drama.
Yeah, there's a stir in there, and it seems to be related to something in my direction. And I was like, with context clues, I feel like there's no way they weren't talking about me. Like, hey, he wasn't able to get a ticket like an hour and a half ago. Why is he still sitting in here on his computer?
Look, maybe they just thought you misheard or something.
Maybe. Yeah, and I just like went in looking for a ticket anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe. And so it was at that moment that I was like, I think perhaps I have overstayed my welcome at this DMV. And so while they're like in the middle of this little debrief back there, I just stood up, put my stuff away, faked a phone call. Like, I don't know why I did any of the things I did.
What did you do? What did you say?
I was just like, hello? And I think that was like the only thing I said, but I was just like, I just want them to think I'm busy so that they don't come up to me and be like, hey, why? Just out of curiosity, why have you been here for 2 hours? So anyway, I walked out of there. I made sure not to make any eye contact or look that direction even a little bit, and I went home. And I feel like, in my opinion, feel free to shoot back, that was worse than if I had just gotten a ticket.
Absolutely.
Because if I had just gotten a ticket, I could have sat there
Nothing's
peacefully.
Wrong. Yeah.
No one would have questioned it. But then we had this weird social dynamic of clearly being out of place. It was rough.
That sounds rough. But the funny part of all this is that we postponed recording the next day.
I know.
Because I was like, I just need a little more time for my topic. And just make it a little better.
Yeah.
And
so the reality is I totally could have gone back and just done it the right way. But,
for sure. Which I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Yeah. So there you go. That was we categorize our punishments in terms of psychological, physical, or
like endurance.
Endurance.
Yeah.
And I would say that was supposed to have been endurance, but turned into psychological.
It was also psychological.
Yeah. So it was a 2-for-1 special.
There you go. Win-win.
Anyway, welcome to the Learn Me Something podcast, Josiah and all listeners.
And
where we compete to present the better topic to each other, and you, as the listeners, vote for who you like more. Loser does a punishment like awkward social situations at the DMV. Simple as that.
Never know what you're going to get. And since you lost, that means I get to go first.
Yeah.
And let's go. Let's jump into it.
Please. You know what? I insist.
Thank you. I wouldn't have done it if you didn't want me to.
You have my blessing.
Thank you. So some people grace the world with their presence in the short time they're given on this planet. Would you agree?
Sure. Also, are you reading off a script right now?
I have a lot of words written down, so yes.
Okay, I love it. Continue.
Some give away millions of dollars to help the poor, sick, and hungry. Some people encourage others with a listening ear in times of need.
Oh.
And some people create beautiful works of art. And there's also some people who are MLB players who chase fire trucks, wrestle alligators, and eat crackers in bed.
Okay.
So meet Rube Waddell, one of the most eccentric public figures from the last few hundred years, and I'm going to talk about him today.
Wow. All right, good setup.
You like that intro?
Yeah, solid intro. Very well put together. And I'm intrigued. You got me hooked.
Okay. Let's keep reeling in while you're on the hook. So, born George Edward Waddell on Friday the 13th of October 1876 in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I know. So Rube wasn't his real name. It's a nickname, and it's like an old-timey term for hick or hillbilly or redneck or something.
Lovely. Rube.
And his
What a
child
Rube.
friend, exactly, his child friend Isaac Allen once said, "We called him Rube because he was a rube." So I thought that's clever.
Yep. That's all the explanation I need.
So it's Bradford, Pennsylvania, where he was born. It was a small farming town, and he got really into baseball and was super good at it. And he kind of developed his pitching skills by chucking rocks at birds, and just kind of seemed to be an all-around natural athlete. So that's how his first training was with the rocks and the birds.
Same as Katniss Everdeen.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Just rocks rather than arrows.
No wonder he's so talented.
Different instrument. So his
Different instrument.
his pitching skills led him to be one of the best pitchers in the entire world in the early 1900s. He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in the 40s, I believe, and he led the league in strikeouts from 1902 to 1907.
Okay.
6 years in a row. So
Wow.
one quote says this: in 1903, Rube struck out 301 batters with no other pitcher in the league topping 175. In 1904, he struck out 349, and he never walked more than 100 players in any season. His 349 strikeout mark would not be broken until 1965, like 60
Wow.
years later.
By?
And then only after the season had been lengthened. I don't know who. I'm not a baseball guy. I just know that he had a huge record for a long time, really good pitcher.
Nice.
And
I thought you were going to name drop like another
it was
famous
by
baseball player.
Shaquille O'Neal, I'm pretty sure. A lot of athletes play baseball also.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of what I
Shaq
thought.
started baseball in the MLB in 1965 and then went over to the NBA.
Yeah.
That's not
Hands
true.
were too big.
Yeah.
Everyone else invented gloves or mitts so that they could be the same as him.
Yeah, before Shaq played in the NBA, there were no baseball mitts. And that's a fact.
Yeah. Take that to the bank and don't Google it.
Everything here is truth. So he was just insanely good, and word kind of spread about his pitching ability. Teams started coming out with more and more intensity to recruit him. And there's one story that he was kidnapped at gunpoint by Mercer.
What?
So they would pitch for him, and he played the game for him. And at the end of the game, he was returned home with $1 for his efforts.
No way.
That's the story.
I don't buy it.
He basically, his whole career, he was traded around quite a lot. People wanted him because he was a phenomenal pitcher,
Yeah.
but they let him go because he was a horrible teammate.
Oh, here we go.
So
Classic.
I'm more interested in his personal life and kind of his quirks and eccentricities more than his pitching stats.
Okay.
So we're going to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that so you can understand who he was.
I love that. I feel like the last couple minutes have been very baseball-y, and it was just the right amount of baseball.
That's good, because that's for the baseball people. Hopefully they'll like that, and they'll be like, Josiah, that is crazy. Keep talking about that. And I say,
Those
no.
baseball facts are awesome.
Wow. Anyway, so let's start by talking about his fans. So the fans loved this guy. He knew how to perform. He made the game super fun to watch. He would walk on his hands, do cartwheels, chat with the fans,
Good for him.
run up into the stands, and make strange noises, a couple places said.
Okay,
So
sure.
I'm thinking your standard, whoosh, maybe a little, and then maybe some
Your
more.
standard weird noises.
Yeah. So his jokes were nonstop, and one newspaper headlined an article, "Waddell is witty," which is
Witty
not-
Waddell.
Not super witty in itself, but that's okay.
Excuse me, those both start with W?
That's
That's
true.
impressive.
Yeah. I don't know if I could. Yeah, you're right. I'm being
That's
judgmental.
journalism at its finest.
Yeah, that's true. He was also super confident and a little too cocky, so he'd like pour ice water on his arms before the games to keep his mitt from catching on fire.
Oh my goodness. That's
And
cool.
sometimes he would wave his teammates off the field when he was about to pitch. He'd be like, Just hang out, go back to the bench. Or one time he had them all come to the mound and sit down around him so they could just watch him.
No way.
Which I love. And it always worked. He always struck him out.
In the words of a wise woman from the 2000s, what's wrong with being confident?
Amen. Was that Oprah?
Demi Lovato, I believe.
Okay.
What's wrong with being confident?
I'm pretty sure
Oh.
that's Oprah's catchphrase too.
Is it?
No.
We should sue.
Anyway,
Oprah should
no,
sue.
I don't think it is. I'm not looking to sue Oprah. That's the
Down
worst
with
possible. Oh, sue Demi. Okay, let's do that. I'm on board with that. Anyway, so it was never really about the money for him. He was super good, but he never really was drawn in by the money. So once he was traded to Chicago for the price of one cigar, for an example, and then he left Chicago shortly after that because he didn't like having morning practices. And then later he was found by a past manager on another random team in another state because that team would let him fish 6 times a week.
Oh my goodness.
So that's
Could you
kinda,
imagine being a
unruly
professional
teammate.
athlete like
Yeah.
that today?
Well, I don't know if you. Well,
don't
it's
think you
it's a
could.
balance. You're good enough, but you can just leave to go fishing. I don't know. Maybe.
You
There's-
have to be so good to be able
There's
to break the rules.
other athletes that have done similar things, but yeah. So he loved fishing, obviously, and sometimes he just would skip games to go fishing, and a few times he left in the middle of a game to go fish.
No,
And
he did not.
He did. It's true.
Guy.
And one baseball manager actually told him that he would give him a 3-day fishing trip if he agreed to pitch just one game for them.
Oh, well, that's a good. That's better than a cigar.
That's a great deal. So that's why he took it. And Rube said this: "It's better to be a big toad in a small pond and fish," which is talk about witty.
That's a real Rube.
That's
thing
a
to say.
Rubism. It is.
That's a Rubism.
So sometimes fishing was more important, sometimes baseball was more important, and his friend Sam Crawford is quoted as saying it never really mattered to Rube whether he was pitching in the big leagues or on a sandlot with a bunch of kids. So here's a story that'll help you understand a little more about his other hobbies.
Yeah.
So while traveling around and playing games with the team in LA, he befriended this guy named Ossie Schreckengost, and they called him Shrek.
That's good. Rube and Shrek.
Rube and
hitting
Shrek.
the town together.
Exactly. So he was the only one that could stand rooming with Rube, and they just had a great time together.
Oh, good.
However, things took a turn when Shrek complained that Rube wouldn't stop eating crackers in bed. So back in the day, I thought it was like, wait, just leave the man be if he wants to eat his crackers in his own bed.
Let him eat his crackers.
Let him eat his dang crackers. But apparently
Yeah.
athletes back in the day shared beds, and Shrek couldn't stand sleeping in a pile of cracker crumbs.
Oh, and also probably the crunching would be
Right.
frustrating.
It keeps you awake, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was such a serious issue that they had to go to the manager, and Rube signed a revised baseball contract stating that he wouldn't eat animal crackers in bed. So there's that.
what a quirky fella.
Oh, just you wait, brother.
I'm waiting.
So Shrek actually also turned out to be not the best influence on Rube. They kind of were two Rubes.
2 Rubes in a pod.
The Rubeness doubled once Shrek got involved. But one time they were in Florida and they went to an ostrich farm.
Lovely.
And of course, Rube decided to jump on an ostrich and see if he could ride it.
Well, that's just common sense.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's what you do. You see an ostrich, you get on it. And then they got kicked out of that. And then they found the alligators just down the way. And he got bit by one of the alligators. And,
Trying to ride it, I'm sure.
Well, not quite. He just got bit, but then he got a taste of wild animal wrangling,
Oh no.
and then the alligator got a taste of him. Anyway, so he made it a habit to go back and climb over the enclosures, and then he started wrestling the alligators.
Oh, so the ostrich was his gateway drug into animal wrangling.
Yes, exactly.
I get it.
And they actually had
I'm
wranglers there, kind of like your Steve Irwins back in the
Sure.
day, and They got so upset at him because he kept wrestling the Gators. Wrestling, I mean.
Hey, quit wrestling them Gators, Rube.
And the professional wrestler contacted Rube's manager and said, if he does it again, this is a direct quote, if he does it again, I'll slit his throat.
Oh, wow. That is, okay.
It's harsh. You'd kind of think just if he does it again, I'm going to sick another gator on him.
Exactly. We'll have him try to wrestle 2 gators at once, and that should do the trick.
That'll teach him a lesson.
Exactly.
Which I guess it kind of did. But he also loved the cute animals. And if I don't know how this happened, but somebody brought a puppy into the stands, and he would get distracted and go over and play with them. And then the opposing team, the people there for the opposing team would bring puppies as well to try to distract him, and it worked. It worked often.
Honestly,
you'd
it
see
would
a puppy
work on
run
me
up
too.
and yeah. Is that why you're not a baseball player?
I
Too
just
distractible?
couldn't stay away from the puppies.
Yeah.
Other than that, I would have done it easy.
It's kind of relatable, but
Yeah.
then there's the lion story. There's a lot of stories I'm trying to get through. So in the middle of his 6 years of heaters, is what I like to call it. 6 years of heaters is when he led the league in strikeouts. He became a crowd favorite and was offered a role in the show called The Stain of Guilt. It was like a theater production that actually went on to achieve critical acclaim. So he was like a big actor too.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's expanding his horizons. However, he could never remember his lines, so everything he said was all improvised on the spot.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And one night he, as is Rube fashion, just decided not to show up for a performance, and he found a lion backstage at another theater, and it said that he was pestering the lion enough that the lion swung and scratched him. There's one report that says it bit him.
Oh.
And there's like this whole controversy around that because they're like, there's also a report he was mugged that same night. So people think the mugging was a cover up so that the league wouldn't have to publish that he got bit by a lion because he was pestering it.
It's a conspiracy. It's all a conspiracy.
Yeah.
We're blowing this case wide open.
Yeah, they're trying to protect his image by saying, no, he just got mugged. But he actually got bit by a lion. Who knows?
What a fun lifestyle. And by fun, I mean not one I would like.
Quirky indeed. And he liked the backstage of theaters maybe more than the theater or the stage itself, because there's another night where there's a different play in town he went to go see, but he found himself backstage, and he found the arsenal. I don't know if they were prop guns or real guns, but he ended up firing off 40 rounds during the most sentimental, romantic scene in the play. And the main actor played it off somehow, just in the moment. And apparently it was like show-stoppingly great.
I believe it.
Rube was tackled, restrained, and tossed out the back. And I don't know how that happens. Was he just like, bow, 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 bow? Or...
That's so many shots.
40. I have no idea how that happens. I don't know. I guess you're not going to go up and tackle a guy that has access to a bunch of guns who has such a strange reputation and who's just shooting them off in the theater. I don't know.
Is he just entirely incapable of any form of self-control?
It's very possible.
It seems like he just does the very first thing that pops into his head.
I think
no matter what.
I think so. Those intrusive thoughts, as they say. Get the best of him. Something else that's a huge part about him that kind of goes more into his lack of self-control is he loves fire trucks and firefighting. And once when he was a kid...
like 6 years old?
it's possible. Once when he was a kid, he wandered into the fire station and stayed there for 3 days before his parents found him.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so that was the beginning of his love for him. And he's a man who loves firefighting, even though he's never technically a firefighter himself. But ever since he was a kid, he would always make a point to go assist in active fires whenever he could. Sometimes when he was busy in the middle of other things, such as baseball. So In the middle of the game, he would run off. If he saw a fire truck go by, he'd run off and go help fight. But you might be thinking, did he fight fires while wearing his baseball uniform?
I bet the answer is yes.
The answer is no. Underneath his uniform, he would wear red underwear so that as he's running off the field, he could strip off the uniform and be ready to fight those fires. A true firefighter. And
This guy.
eventually fans came to expect it, and he would even let them cut off like a small piece of it as a souvenir.
Ooh.
And then management, of course, was like, you can't be doing this. You can't wear your red underwear anymore.
I'm begging you to stop.
Please. And of course he said, yeah, no problem. And he would just go commando next time.
Oh.
True story. And so you can
No.
kind of see why he would get traded around so much. He had all these fantastic stats. He was just leading these teams to victory after victory. But he's also 6.
He has the maturity of an actual 6-year-old.
I think
That's
so.
very interesting.
I think so. And also, as everybody knows, every firefighter needs a good hatchet. And he knew that as well. So once after a bad game in Brooklyn, he grabbed a hatchet, went back to the stadium, and attacked a fence post for over an hour and a half. And it's possible he was mostly frustrated because his pitching had been suffering because of a burn he got on his hand fighting a fire in Wisconsin.
That'll
So
do
he
it.
Traveled around a lot, but it said he ran into the building to save a crying little boy's wagon, and he burned his hand on the metal, which affected his pitching. And one quick story: he was not only interested in firefighting, but regular fighting as well.
Oh.
In his early 20s, he joined the National Guard. Why? Because the
Why?
uniforms were cool. He didn't.
I get that.
Yeah, he didn't stick around long and went AWOL to go play baseball, and just left without telling anybody because he wasn't too interested in the whole National Guard part.
Oh, he just wanted the uniform.
Yeah, so they showed up to a game one day and arrested him mid-game and threw him in prison. And the next day, there was an explosion at the place he was being held. Somebody, we don't know who, but somebody had thrown a handful of ammo into the stove. And
You're kidding me.
he was released so the guards wouldn't have to deal with him anymore. And I just have to say, give those security guards a raise. That is the job of a security guard.
They have done great.
Great job, security
Great work.
guards. 5 stars.
He got ammo. He managed to get it into a stove. And then upon doing all of that, they were like, yeah, you should just go.
No, somebody who had the accuracy to throw something into a small space from a distance away did it. It's not proven who did it.
We don't know who.
It could have been anybody.
It could have been one of those security guards.
Rube Waddell. So his personal life, he got married to his longtime girlfriend, Florence, but that marriage didn't last super long.
Shocker.
And he would eventually get married again. That didn't last very long either.
Shocker.
He wasn't home most of the time and kind of became a functional alcoholic. And over and over again, the press was like confronting him, like, hey, you're doing a lot of not good things. You need to man up a little bit. And he started weeping and stated that he would change his ways.
Okay,
I was like,
good.
oh, that's kind of interesting. But he did eventually get married a third time, but it also didn't last very long.
Shocker.
Yeah, reading some of this, he does not seem like a great role model. So the decline of his career began when he was teaching some kids to throw one of his famous curveballs. But then he injured his arm because instead of using a baseball to demonstrate his pitch, he used a brick. So that'll do it, as any pitcher will tell you. Don't throw bricks around.
That's why they've put that into the baseball rules now, officially.
Yeah, no
Stop.
bricks.
No bricks. No brick throwing.
Just
Not for pitchers.
baseballs. So as his time in baseball started coming to an end, he spent some time in Kentucky and
Fishing, I bet.
yeah, probably. And that winter was super rainy, so rainy that the levee broke and the city flooded. So he jumped in and got involved. He, like I said, he was like always involved with the fires and
Of course.
and was involved with like relief work there. And he worked for days at a time with little to no sleep, rebuilding the levee with sandbags, and he was named deputy sheriff and fire chief shortly after that. Which
Wow.
you can imagine how happy that would make him.
Yeah, I bet. And all the uniforms are cool. I bet.
Yeah, probably. Or he just doesn't need to wear one. Maybe he's like, I'll be those things if I don't need to wear anything.
Anything at all.
But he ended up spending so much time in the cold that he ended up getting pneumonia and never really recovered from that.
No.
And then he got a couple other sicknesses that just kind of seemed to get worse and worse. And as he was kind of towards the end, he left a baseball practice to go chase a fire and did the usual. He stripped down completely, stole a pony, hopped on it, and ran to the scene of the fire.
That's the only way to do it.
Just, bareback on a pony with your backside bare. And started...
Bareback.
You like that? Started chopping away at the roof, even though the fire was contained at the chimney. So just happy to be involved, I guess. But he did end up later helping. He helped to rebuild the roof. So
imagine you're an actual firefighter, and you're professionally trained, and this is your passion. This is what you do. And then in rides a naked man on a pony who's like, "Hey guys, I'm here to help." Just the pure insult to your craft that must have felt like.
You're like, you know what? That's okay. Maybe don't.
I'm actually begging you not to help.
It's okay, guys. I'll take the axe. I'll head up to the roof. And they're like, no. He's like, it's fine. And,
I'll take the roof. We gotta get in here.
Yeah, you guys don't need to come up here. I got it. It's fine.
And you know that they all know him by now, so they saw him coming and just went,
"Oh my gosh,
here we go."
Dibs on not dealing with this guy.
Who's on Rube control this time? I did it last fire.
So like I said, he had some sicknesses that kind of just his baseball career came to a close, started pitching worse and worse, and then even though he was finished with baseball. Towards the end, he wasn't quite finished with his escapades. In Minnesota, he heard about a boat that had sunk. And unfortunately, the person on board had died, so he swam down and retrieved the body. And then there was another time in Virginia, he broke into the black bear enclosure at the zoo to play with the cubs.
Of course.
Loved those animals. And however, his life came to a close when he eventually contracted tuberculosis, and then a few months later died on April Fool's Day, 1914.
So
quite the life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your April Fool's Day edition makes me feel like this whole thing was a joke and I'm not supposed to believe it happened.
Maybe. Don't you think that's too on the nose though?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It's got to be real.
Yeah, it's got to be real. It's too good to be true.
What an interesting fella.
Yeah, I kind of was thinking about it. What can we learn from him? And he said, there's this quote from the end of his life where he said, "I had my chance, and a good one it was. Many boys may have a better one ahead of them than I had. If they leave the booze alone, they won't have any trouble. I'm not a very good preacher, but keep away from booze and cigarettes." And that was a large piece of advice from Rube at the end of his life. And I kind of originally wanted to just laugh at all of his stories. But it seemed like he had a lot of issues and a lot of hurt or, I don't know, something going on in his life that was pretty clear.
There clearly was something happening.
Sure. He had so many flaws and was a pretty messed up dude. But what does stand out is he was super brave and it's actually credited that it's recorded that he saved as many as 13 lives during his lifetime. Wow. From both drownings and fires.
Well, that's worth something.
Yeah, so I kind of I think there's always something to learn from everybody, even if it's learning from their mistakes and the consequences, or just a small piece of their character. But I don't know, I think that's admirable that he's willing to risk his life to save other people. So I'm not trying to say he's this admirable guy. But anyway, that's something I learned from him. And I also learned not to eat crackers in bed.
No crackers in bed. Honestly, I cannot imagine getting into a bed that has a bunch of cracker crumbs. That just is horrible.
Maybe that should be a punishment one day.
Put crackers in your bed.
You have to get an entire sleeve of saltines, crumple them up, and sleep in it for a week.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine?
That is horrible. Ugh.
We're also both married, so
yeah.
maybe, I don't know, maybe that's not one that's good for our marriage, you know?
Yeah, it feels like maybe one we just let go.
Maybe. Anyway, that's the life of Rube Waddell. That's all I got for this episode.
I love it. I love it. That was very fun.
Good.
It just, I feel like every story built on each other. They all, like, it just slowly got weirder and weirder. And I am here for it.
Good. So I'm glad you say that because it makes pushing back the recording more worth it. Hopefully in your mind.
Yeah, a little extra preparation.
Yeah.
It still is not ideal, but I'm glad that you were able to. Glad you were able to.
Well, I think the listeners would agree that they're glad it happened this way.
Yep. Sure.
They would. Comment below. Spam the comments. I know there's no comments. There's comments on YouTube.
That's true. If you're watching instead of listening, comment. You'll be maybe the first.
You probably will. Comment and say, I'm glad Caleb, include the word I'm glad Caleb went to the DMV when he did.
Yep.
Okay.
There's the call to action. Are you ready for mine?
Yeah. Quick shout out to the patrons. Thanks for supporting us.
Yes.
You can be a patron if you want. We post little nightclub snippets. That's our little extra podcast for the patrons. We just posted another one. And if you want to be a patron, do it. Thanks, patrons. Love ya. All right.
Love ya. And you can. It's as little as $1 a month.
I wonder if you can do less than that.
As
50
much
cents
as
a month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
50, oh,
it's
sure.
as much as you want.
If we could get 10 people that give 50 cents a month,
and then each of those people recruit 2 people to get 50 cents a month, we could do pretty good. We could do some big things.
If you get enough people to do that, then you could win a Porsche. Just keep keep trying.
All right, boss babes. That's what we're going to call our patrons.
Oh, yikes.
All right, go ahead.
Boss babes. You can't drop that phrase and expect me to flow smoothly into my topic. But here we go. Smooth like butter. I'm talking about messages to the future. And I don't really know how to start this topic.
Okay.
So maybe we'll open with this. Have you ever sent yourself a letter to the future? Because that's a letter to yourself.
Maybe in like second grade. I don't quite remember. I think we did in like you write it at the beginning of second grade, and then at the end of the year you read it or something like that.
Yeah.
That's all I can remember though.
Wasn't very meaningful.
No, unless you count journaling.
Okay. Good. So I want my topic to be a little bit more conversational.
Okay.
Essentially, this topic is going to lead us to nuclear waste.
Okay.
And there's a situation here that's very fascinating to me. But we'll open, just to kind of wet the whistle, we'll open with the Georgia Guidestones. Have you heard of those? Or I guess that.
Are those the ones that it's like rocks that are super old?
It is no, but good guess.
Oh, there's some kind of old language, maybe. I'm just gonna let you say it. What is it?
So you actually don't know? You're just guessing.
I'm just guessing.
Georgia Guidestones. Oh, I'm glad you don't know what this is. I bet you do once I start explaining it.
Yeah, maybe.
It's considered the American Stonehenge. So they're huge, large stones.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, but not like old. You said old. They're not old.
Oh.
They're developed in 1979.
Oh.
So here's the story.
Okay.
We're just whistle wetting real quick. A man going by the pseudonym R.C. Christian approaches a company called Alberton Granite Finishing Company in 1979. And he approaches them and he's like, hey, I need to commission a project. They do granite stonework. And so they're like, sure, this is right up our alley. You want a stone project? What do you want to do? And he's like, wait. First, no one's allowed to know my true identity, and no one's allowed to know the group that I'm representing.
Okay.
And so they're like, okay, feels weird, but let's see what the project is. So they build this contract, and he commissions them to make what becomes known as the Georgia Guidestones. And it's in his contract with Elberton that at the end of the building of this thing, the American Stonehenge, all plans and mentions of him are required to be destroyed.
Not redacted, destroyed.
Yep. So he's like, as soon as this is over, destroy all the evidence that I was involved, destroy any sort of way to like replicate it. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So there's a mysterious past behind this thing.
Okay.
The goal is a message to a post-apocalyptic world. So this man is part of a secret, mysterious group that believes that apocalypse is coming and that it is like nuclear war is going to destroy the world. And this group is like, we need to plan a way to restore civilization in the event that this apocalypse happens.
Right.
Very interesting.
Okay.
So they build these giant stones meant to be a compass, a calendar, and a clock. Another thing that adds to the mystery of this guy is he and this group had a lot of money. They estimate this project costed somewhere between $100,000 and $400,000. The head of the company, when he pitched the idea to him, thought the guy was nuts, so he quoted him way more than the project was worth to try to discourage him.
Yeah.
And it says that R.C. Christian accepted right away. Like, didn't try to negotiate, was just like, yep, that's fine, let's do it.
He's not a great negotiator,
No,
but he's
not
passionate.
Maybe a good apocalypse communicator, not a great businessman.
Okay. You can't be the best at everything.
Exactly. Everyone's got their weaknesses.
Yes, we do.
So, took about a year to complete. So it was wrapped up in 1980. These are very large stones that, if you look it up, they look like Stonehenge, like it's that style of stone,
Okay.
big,
Yeah.
tall, some stacked on top of others. And then the front of this area, so they bought a field to put this in. The front has a tablet that says, let these be guide stones to an age of reason. And it's very interesting. Had a lot of physical features. There were holes drilled in specific spots, scientifically designed all over the stones. And those holes drilled were there to help with lunar tracking and time tracking and northern star tracking and sun tracking. So there was a lot of science and like measurement put into this thing to make it all work out. Then on the actual stones themselves, there are 10 guidelines that are meant to help reestablish society after some form of apocalypse.
Oh, I thought you meant like a literal line, like a linear etching.
Oh,
But guidelines like
guidelines
ideas.
as in like,
I was like, how is
Idea
that going to
guidelines.
work? 10 lines.
10
the up line and the right line and the down line.
They discovered like 6 other dimensions.
I guess so.
No, sorry, 10 guidelines as in
Okay.
concepts or thoughts.
Gotcha.
Those are written in 8 languages. The languages are English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian.
All right.
Then they also had on the side of the stones the capability to translate Babylonian, Classic Greek, Sanskrit, and ancient Egyptian. I guess probably to preserve a lot of the archaeological culture already discovered.
Okay. All right.
So here are the 10 guidelines. Number 1, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Number 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Essentially, like designing the human race to be a certain type of person. Number 3, unite humanity with a living new language. Number 4, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. 8, balance personal rights with social duties. 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. 10, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature.
Wait, it said it twice?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. It either said it twice or I accidentally copy and pasted twice into
Leave
my
room for nature, leave room for nature, leave room for nature. And
We're going to say,
leave room
for
for nature.
emphasis, they put it twice.
I like it. No, that makes sense to me because that's like the most important thing is that when you say last, and then if you say it twice, it's like really important.
Exactly. So there was a lot of controversy when this was being built. There was a lot of people linked this guy and his mysterious group to like satanic stuff. A lot of people thought it was evil, and they wanted it torn down and stuff. And so there's tension and conflict all throughout its history.
Yeah.
Until last year, it got destroyed by vandals in an explosion, which is just really ironic because the whole point of it being giant stones was that it was supposed to be able to withstand catastrophic events so that it could survive the apocalypse and like see it through so the next people could learn from it.
Right. And it did not do that.
It did not. Nope. Someone exploded it pretty easy, and then they just kind of like, should we rebuild this? And then they were like, nah, let's just maybe take it down.
Oh,
And
that's a
so they
bummer.
did. So it went away last year. So in terms of messages to the future, that's one of the more popular ones right now, and it made it 42 years.
Okay. They need to like bury it or something.
Yeah, the problem is, well, so here's the interesting aspect of this topic, and one of the reasons I find it so fascinating. Sending a message to the future is very difficult for a couple of key reasons. You don't know, well, yeah, so you don't know who's going to be receiving the message, so you have to be able to communicate fairly universally, and you have to find a way to make the message last long enough. And you have to find a way for the message to be given in a way that has meaning to the people in which you've communicated. All leading into a fascinating situation that our country is currently in. And that situation is there is long-term nuclear waste that has been created that is incredibly dangerous and toxic and has the potential to kill. And scientists realize that this nuclear waste will take a very, very, very long time to go away, which means that to be the most ethically correct as they can be in disposing of it, they have to look to a future people to explain what it is and why you shouldn't go near it. Does that make sense?
Okay, so it's gonna be there for so long that they need some way to say every future generation stay away.
Yeah.
Like a keep off the grass sign for people hundreds of years from now.
Exactly. Except not hundreds. We're talking
thousands.
Like 10,000 years.
10,000s. Okay.
Is the goal. And what's interesting is if you look, so we're looking forward 10,000 years. If you look backwards a couple hundred years, what English looked like
that's true.
is very different than what it looks like now. And if you looked back further than that to the Middle Ages, the same language we wouldn't even really be able to read without someone there to translate it for us.
Interesting. Okay.
So language naturally evolves over time, and so now they're faced with how do we communicate with the people in 10,000 years that most likely will not speak any language that currently exists. Isn't that
It's
fascinating?
very interesting. Yeah,
And-
I guess. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just thinking, as if we translate as we go, it should work out. And plus, with the internet, but if something catastrophic does happen that takes out everything on the internet, and I don't know, there's only like a few people left, and they have to rebuild.
Yeah.
Is that kind of if it's like if that happens, then this will be the sign will be for them, but otherwise languages will just keep evolving, and we'll have records of past languages, and
Yeah.
so it's like kind of in the event of a
That's
huge
true.
catastrophe.
Yeah. So that's part of it. Because it also could cause a lot of damage if it gets out. So that it could cause its own form of catastrophe.
Got it. Okay.
And so what they did was they built a facility in New Mexico, of course, way underground to store this waste. And it's got like giant tunnels to get to it. And the goal is they can put it down there and just leave it there. Because you don't want to spend, I mean, how much money would it cost over 10,000 years to have a full crew of people whose
Right.
job is like making sure that stuff is okay?
Right.
So the idea is just shove it down there,
Bury it in the desert.
hope it works out. But another reality, if you look backwards, is that archaeologists are very thorough. And so,
Some curious archaeologist in the future is like, guys, I found a bunker.
we got to get into yeah, exactly. Like, the reality is the chances over the course of 10,000 years that a different type of people discovers this,
Yeah. Okay.
doesn't understand our languages, and once in are actually decent.
I'm understanding now. It makes more and more sense. Because
Yeah.
if I see if I'm an archaeologist and I find some metal door way underground in the middle of the desert that says
You're getting in there.
Yeah, and even especially if it says "Do not enter," I'm like, okay, I'm going in here.
Yeah. And imagine it says do not enter, but you don't know what language it is. So
There you go.
picture you find this metal bunker, and instead of English saying do not enter, you find this really cool form of hieroglyphics. And then you're like, well, that's cool.
Yeah, then you just plow past that, and you're like, I'll translate that later.
Yeah, maybe there's something cool in here. I hope I discover something that helps me translate this message.
Yeah.
So they have to be able to warn future people, essentially.
Right.
And this is just this weird reality of a conundrum that they're in. And they're like, how do we do this? So they form a committee called the Human Interference Task Force, which sounds like something I would like to be on. Very neat. Very cool name.
The HIT, the HIT.
The HIT. The HIT F.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. HITF. HIT. So the task force starts looking into this, and it becomes such a study that they name this a new field of study, and it's called nuclear semiotics.
Okay.
And the term basically means, how do you communicate the danger of nuclear waste to a people you know nothing about? What language will they speak? How advanced will they be? What form of communication will they understand? So the goal is to communicate non-linguistically the realities of this nuclear waste.
Oh, a little bit of charades.
Yeah, it is like the most important game of charades ever. And this is the they created like a series of messages that stair step in order of like detail, and these are the messages that they're trying to get across to this future people somehow. First message: this place is a message and part of a system of messages. Pay attention. Second, sending this message was important to us. We considered ourselves to be a powerful culture. 3, this place is not a place of honor. No highly esteemed deed is commemorated here. Nothing valued is here. 4. What is here is dangerous and repulsive to us. This message is a warning about danger. 5. The danger is in a particular location. It increases towards a center. The center of danger is here, of a particular size and shape, and below us. 6. The danger is still present in your time as it was in ours. 7. The danger is to the body and it can kill. 8. The form of the danger is an emanation of energy. And 9. The danger is unleashed only if you substantially disturb this place physically. This place is best shunned and left uninhabited. So all of those messages are important and need to somehow be communicated.
Right. That's like asking to be.
I know.
Like, if you've seen any movie, like sci-fi movie or something, that's going to be the beginning of it. And then like, well, we have to go in there.
Obviously, we're going to go look and see what this is.
That's pretty well written, though. Like,
yeah.
That's, yeah.
But then the question is, like, how on earth do you explain all of that? Like, this issue is so, like, above my skill set that it's hard for me to even grasp. So that the messages are to be displayed in varying complexity. So 1 is rudimentary information, something man-made is here. The 2nd is cautionary, something man-made is here and it's dangerous. The 3rd is basic, tells what, when, where, who, how. And the 4th is highly detailed written records, tables, figures, graphs, maps, and diagrams. So there's varying complexities, and they're trying to communicate the similar message on all 4 complexities so it can speak to any level of advanced species or advanced society, I guess. The more they develop this stuff, the more it just seems like a big Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah,
and he would just be like, this metal bunker, we're going to have to get in there. And so the goal is to communicate this, and you can look up pictures of this. There's a bunch of pictures of options.
What do I look up? HITF. What do I look
just
up?
look up like long-term nuclear waste messaging. Some of them are super, super simple pictures that have literally like stick figures and little images that try to show that this is bad.
So they've done it. Also, when I Google, it says Google autofill says long-term nuclear waste warning, and then the second option is long-term nuclear waste warning booty shorts.
I do not know what that is.
Maybe we can sell those as merch.
Sell some long-term nuclear waste booty shorts. Oh,
yeah.
That is so funny.
There's one version that says on the butt, it says no highly esteemed deed is commemorated here.
That's so clearly meme culture has got a hold of this story.
They've grabbed it.
Oh, that's so funny. So there's
okay,
a bunch
so I'm
of
looking
pictures.
at pictures. Yeah, it's like a bunch of spikes.
Yeah, it's fascinating. There's a bunch of I read one article that has a bunch of pictures and then explains what the issues could be. So there's one picture that shows like a person laying over dead after like a bunch of gas got out of the ground, and it shows this big pit. And that's the picture. But then it's like, or that could be like he found this deep, like spiritual something that helps him sleep, or so, he finds rest at this weird. Yeah, like it's so easy to misinterpret.
Yeah, because like he opens up a thing with a skull and crossbones on it, and then he gets the skull and crossbones on him. So maybe that's something you want.
Yeah, maybe you want skull and crossbones. That's the thing, is you can't, like, skull and crossbones doesn't mean the same thing to the same cultures.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just so complex and complicated and fascinating. So in terms of pictures, they thought about like putting these up all over the place. They also thought about using various signs and designs to showcase that this is a dangerous place. this is when things get Indiana Jones-like. So they've thought about building like giant thorns, intimidating-looking spikes and stuff all around the site that just makes it look like, ooh, danger's here.
Yeah, I see drawings of that. But that also could be like, ooh, some kind of monument.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
astrological instrument.
Yeah, they also thought about using dangerous architecture. So like it is actually dangerous to get to the place, which would deter people. Essentially what I hear is booby trapping it.
Yeah, this one says it's called Forbidden Blocks.
Yeah.
Oh, Forbidding Blocks.
Yeah. It's all like there's no great way to do it, and that's what's fascinating. So real quick, I'm trying to wrap us up here, but I want to go through some ideas that some other prominent people have thought of.
Yeah.
And some are fascinating, some are absurd. All of them are interesting. Number one, we'll open strong with Thomas Sebioke, who's a linguist. Also, a lot of this happened in like the 80s. I think I forgot to mention the timeline, but a lot of this, I don't think they've finally established actually how to do it, because you also have a long time before.
Right. No rush. It's no
exactly.
rush.
Hundreds of years to make this work out. But so this linguist proposed, this is so interesting, he called it an atomic priesthood. So essentially, it's a panel that's replaced constantly via nomination, same as like a Catholic priesthood would be, as time goes by. And the whole purpose of this atomic priesthood is to preserve the messaging and the understanding that they choose to use. So essentially, you're on a committee for life. It is your job to retain the message, what the symbols mean, how the communication works. And then as you age, you're replaced via nomination for the next generation. Okay. So it would be a 10,000-year-old committee of people with a sole purpose of maintaining this messaging.
Okay. That makes sense. I thought you were saying like people you're voted and you have to stay there. And if somebody comes by, you have to say, move along. But you're just saying you have to have the information and make sure the information stays alive.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly. There's a lot of... I think that topic is a lot deeper than what I was able to research, because I read some things about like the most accurate way to do it is to make things mythic, and to quite literally like design some form of religion around it that would ensure that it carried through. So you're essentially faking importance to it and then passing that along through thousands of years, hoping that over the course of thousands of years, the importance of the message would become mythical, borderline religious, and that would drive the message on through this priesthood. It's pretty convoluted and intense, and I don't understand.
Yeah.
But that was his idea. They decided not to do that. Next one, Stanislaw Lem is the name of a person. There's zero context clues to signify that's a person. Stanislaw Lem.
It's a tree. It's a type of tree.
Exactly. Or like, the scientific name of a butterfly.
Yeah.
He came up with an idea that satellites would just transmit the information constantly from space to the place and back to space. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me because the messaging, even if it's in space, that doesn't help the messaging make more sense. Like the language would still change. So I didn't understand that one.
Sure. Okay.
This one, though, this one is good. Francois, I'm assuming that's how the name pronounced.
It's probably Francois.
Thank you. It had a squiggly under the C, and I didn't know how to handle that.
Oh, yeah.
Francois Bastide, French. I don't know how he came to this conclusion. The idea is, or the concept, if you will, is to breed radiation cats.
Oh, yeah. I'm into that.
Yeah. Oh, just you wait. So you'd breed cats in a certain way that the cats would change color when they got near radiation.
Oh. Yep.
And so then this message would have to be passed along that as cats change color, that means something bad, or you're nearing something you shouldn't, or something. And so the argument is, which I don't even know if the first step is possible. Like if you can breed cats that change color when you get closer to
Yeah, that's a big hurdle. That's a big hurdle if it's not possible.
First step, color changing cats. We did it with spoons and frozen yogurt. This should be no different.
A cinch.
Exactly. Second step, the cats, I don't know why this mythology and legend becomes important in a lot of these concepts, but the cats have to turn into myth and legend so that they would withstand thousands of years of life passed down from generation to generation. So it's the same thing. You have to turn something into myth or religion in order for it to pass down. But instead of priesthood, it's color-changing cats.
Okay.
And the idea is to use music and poetry that is so catchy and so captivating that it would withstand thousands of years, and the cats would be a feature of those songs and poems.
Oh, wow. Pop culture-ify them.
Yeah, and so there is a podcast in 2014. I forgot the name of the podcast, but they, with the musician Emperor X, they developed a song that's titled 10,000 Year Earworm to Discourage Settlement Near Nuclear Waste Repositories. Parentheses, don't change color, kitty.
So you just blast a horrible song or something?
Well, here's the thing. The song is supposed to be so catchy that you couldn't forget it if you tried, and that's how they're going to pass it along.
I see.
It's like Ring Around the Rosie. Had a horrible beginning, but all of us know it now because it was so catchy.
Right,
it was
right.
passed down. That's the goal with the song 10,000 Year Earworm to Discourage Settlement Near Nuclear Waste Repositories. Don't change color, kitty. I haven't listened to it. I was in the DMV at the time when I was researching this.
Yeah.
So if you want to, you can look up that song by Emperor X. I have no doubt it's entertaining. There's a couple more ones that actually make more sense. One who proposed installing warning signs in a ring around the site that were in every major language currently. Then as time goes on, there's a committee that translates the old signs into newer signs with updated language. And those rings just get bigger and bigger as you go. And
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so every sign you pass is a translation of the next sign you see.
Right. Keeps it
And
modern.
that way you can read the original sign, but then you can also learn to translate the languages as you get closer to the site. That's pretty fascinating.
Okay, real quick, I just sent a connect invite on LinkedIn to the color changing kitty guy, Francois. So we'll see what happens.
You did not.
Yeah, I found him on LinkedIn.
That is so fun. I hope with everything in me that he accepts and / maybe explains himself.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. So the last idea out there was from a physicist who said, let's just make access to the site so unbelievably advanced and complicated that the only way you can get to it and access it is with very advanced technology. The thinking there is that it would make it much more likely that civilization reaching the site would be advanced enough that they could know on their own with their own technology that there's dangerous radiation in the middle.
They'd have like a Geiger counter or something.
Yeah.
Like if you can get here, you've probably got a Geiger counter.
Exactly. If you've made it this far, you know your stuff. So that's it. There's no final answer yet. I think it's still kind of somewhat in development, and they're trying things out and chatting about it. They didn't use any of the ideas I just listed. I think the general idea right now is to create systems that communicate the same idea in multiple different ways. So all of those systems could stand alone, but they would also complement each other. So if you saw multiple of them, they could help put it together if you didn't understand just one of them. In my mind, it's kind of similar to like translating old lost languages. Like if you find the Rosetta Stone that shows something in one language and then also something in a language then you have the key to translate it.
Right.
In my head, that's kind of how it works. Like they help each other become understandable.
Right.
So you might have a difficulty understanding looking at one, but then you'd immediately see another system that would complement it and maybe help establish the message a little clearer.
Okay.
But the consensus is, which is a bummer for the future Indiana Jones series, the consensus is you don't need to try and scare people away. You just need to inform them enough for them to make their own decisions.
Okay.
So you don't have to booby trap it. You don't have to make it dangerous to get to. You just have to make it explainable and then trust that a future people could reason and figure out what to do from there.
That makes sense to me. It seems like people are going a little bit too far.
Yeah, but in a fun way.
Yeah, it is. It is quite fun.
But it's also
yeah.
It's very interesting. Like
Yeah,
sending a
I've never
message
thought
to
about
someone,
this before.
yeah, 10,000 years from now is not as simple as it may seem. Like even sending messages to your great grandkid 200 years in the future could be trickier than it may seem.
Yeah.
Cause
Yeah, you're going to try and use slang that you think is popular with the kids these days, but it's going to be nothing.
Exactly. They're going to be like, ugh, why is great grandpa saying bussin' in his letter to us from the past?
Like, that doesn't mean what I think he thinks it means.
Yeah. There you have it. Message to the future. That's my
Very,
topic.
very interesting. That's a great topic. I loved it. I also loved the little intro story you did. That was great. Got my head in the right space. But also I'd like to put my own idea into the pot.
Yes.
If that's okay.
I was going to bring up, before you do that,
Yeah.
that at the beginning I was like, this might be more of a conversation. And then I just went hard for like 20 minutes. But there's a lot of information there. But
Hey, we're trying to keep them short. So
Exactly.
you gotta go.
And the reason I said that was because I was hoping you would put your own ideas out there. So I'm excited for what you're about to say.
Here's my idea. My idea is it's a little too late maybe, but you just don't tell anybody about it. You bury it really deep in the ground. You make it really hard to get into.
Okay.
And then you just don't tell anybody about it. And you just leave it. Because here's what I am thinking. If something has gone so wrong that we're not able to translate past languages, or I don't know. If something's gone that wrong, then I think nobody's going to be digging around that deep in the middle of the
A mile
desert.
underneath the ground. Yeah.
That's just me. I don't know. Maybe some bomb got dropped above it and it opens it up. I don't
Sure.
know. But I don't know. I just think you don't tell anybody about it. If it if it happens one day, people will figure it out. We figured it out, they will. Just leave it alone. That's my idea.
All right. But then what if you leave it alone so long it just becomes forgotten? Because like they're done with it. They put all the stuff down there and they're leaving it alone. What if it becomes forgotten and then like 2 generations later they discover it? I guess they would still have the translation. But if they discover it 10,000 years later, then of course they're getting into it. And of course it could be dangerous.
That's true. A couple people might get radiation sickness. And then I think they'll figure out pretty quick, all the people that went in that room died. Don't go in that room.
Don't
So
send
I'm not
people
saying
into that room.
Yeah, I'm just saying people will learn somehow.
So you would rather
No.
potentially risk-
No, I'm just saying if that's the case, Okay, I'm not like I'm not saying
Let them
people
die.
are just gonna
They'll be
die.
fine.
You just figure it out. But I mean,
It's 10,000 years from now. Do we really have to care about this? Oh, we're getting into dangerous
man.
territory here.
Okay, I'm uncomfy with what I've said, but I said it and I stand by it. Actually, so
10,000 years, though. Like, if you look back to the as early of recorded history as you can,
that's about
that would be like trying to chat with them. Or them trying to chat with us. That's very interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. That I'm just leaving it for people to ponder. This is more of a ponderosa topic.
No, that's good. We don't have a ton of pondery ones recently. So yeah, ponderosas, and I'm a big fan. I probably will keep thinking about this. Maybe I'll come up with a better solution than these people, and I'll send it to Francois on LinkedIn.
Perfect.
He's got connections.
I love that you did that. That's so funny. Real quick before we move on, and I know I say this just about every episode, but a great Learn Me Something t-shirt idea is if you design a nuclear waste future warning to or a warning to a future people and put it on a t-shirt. I'd wear that.
Like those booty shorts?
Yeah. Put it on some booty shorts, put it on a t-shirt, doesn't matter, I'll wear it.
Okay, yeah, they like kind of took a bunch of the sayings and put them on booty shorts. Like you got no highly esteemed deed is commemorated here. This place is not a place of honor. Nothing valued is here. What is here is dangerous and repulsive to us. Like, maybe we just sell booty shorts.
I kind of that.
If we do
so
sell
funny.
booty shorts, if we sell Learn Me Something booty shorts, we know what we're putting on them.
if down in the future we do end up selling booty shorts, we've already got the content.
Yeah,
Perfect.
So
Love it.
quick.
Maybe
turnaround
let's
if we
start
decide
with
to do
putting
that.
it on a funny t-shirt.
Okay, that's a good idea.
All right, Josiah, tell him the punishment.
Okay, the punishment. Please go vote first, because we like it when people vote.
Yeah.
And then the loser, which will be decided the Sunday after this comes out,
Yep.
is going to do a 4-hour live stream on. See, listen to this. If you're listening to this in the first week of release, then you might get to experience this live.
Yep.
The loser will do a live stream on the 12th of August, 2023, on YouTube. And we'll keep it up there. But 4 hours of just who knows what.
That's a long time. I don't want that for me.
Yeah. So I don't know. It might be fun to like check in every once in a while if you know about it while it's happening. Just check in, see what the loser's doing.
Yeah.
And
Why not? Cool.
So
So
it.
vote for me. That's it.
but vote for me.
All right. This has been a fun one. It's been a real Rube of an episode.
It's been a Rube of an episode. And
Rube.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of something like a booty shorts pun, but maybe I don't know. I'm over it.
Yeah. Let's just end this one. What do you
I did say but that wasn't on purpose.
Yeah, sorry, Mom. Sorry for what Josiah said. I would like the record to show I have not said that word this episode.
The way Caleb said it was with one T.
A single T.
Show.
Yep.
Okay, that's all I got. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for patronizing. Thanks for teaching me, Caleb, about long-term nuclear waste solutions.
Thanks for teaching me.
Hey, you're welcome.
What a wholesome ending this is.
Hey, I'm glad we get to do this.
Oh, Larry.
Everybody,
why don't you play us
spam
out?
the comments with aw.
Aw, spam
Aw.
the comments. Larry, play us out and come join us in a big group hug.
Oh, get in here, Larry.